fulcrum, okay, that is in between the load and the effort. So, examples of class 1 lever are seesaws, bottle openers, scissors, pliers, etc. So, in order to reduce the effort needed to lift something using a first class lever, the fulcrum should be moved closer to the load. So, in order to apply some force, okay, so fulcrum has to be has to move in that direction, okay, it should be moved towards the load so that the object is lifted, okay, so that the effort needed, okay. So, nitrogen it is added to the atmosphere when the plants and animals they decay or they are burned. So, it is also added through volcanic eruption. Now, amount of nitrogen being added to the atmosphere and the amount being removed, it is perfectly balanced. Okay. So, the amount that gets added also and the amount that comes that gets released or removed also, it is all balanced. Okay. So, nitrogen keeps the process of burning under control. All living beings they need nitrogen for the growth, okay, but they cannot use it in the natural form. So, we all require nitrogen, but we cannot use it in the natural form. So, there are bacteria that are present in the soil which convert nitrogen into usable form. Animals they get their nitrogen from the plants by eating the plants. Okay. This is how nitrogen is given to us. Okay. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide exists in the atmosphere naturally, okay, because we humans also release carbon dioxide. Okay. So, animals and human beings release carbon dioxide. When we breathe out, when we exhale, we give out carbon dioxide. So, burning of fossil fuels also results in addition of carbon dioxide. Now, air, it contains 0.03% of carbon dioxide. Plants, they use carbon dioxide for what? For the process of photosynthesis in order to make their own food. So, it absorbs the heat that is sent to the earth by the sun. This makes the earth's atmosphere suitable for life to exist. Okay. This is all a procedure, a natural process that happens all around us. Okay. Then let us talk about the ozone. Now, ozone it is a molecule which is made up of three oxygen atoms. Okay. Now, ozone layer of the atmosphere it is very useful, okay, in saving the earth from harmful ultraviolet rays that come from the sun. So, it is a layer of earth or atmosphere that protects us from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. You know children, those people who stay in the mountainous region, okay, over there the layer of atmosphere is a little thinner as compared to the layer of atmosphere that is here at the sea level. So, those people, okay, they have to use a lot of sunscreen lotions and they have to cover their body and they cover their eyes and all, so that they protect themselves from the harmful ultraviolet rays which is very closer to them because of the thin layer of the air. Water vapor. Water vapor is also important gas to consider, okay, while studying the atmosphere. The amount of water vapor present in the air, it varies from one place to another. Amount of water vapor present in the air at a given time is known as humidity. So, after rains, humidity becomes high. So, when there is moisture in the air, that means water vapor levels are higher, okay, especially after the rainy season. Layers of atmosphere. Now, there are different layers of atmosphere as well. So, the blanket of air surrounding the earth, that is known as the atmosphere. Now, it has four main layers. First one is the troposphere. Okay, troposphere it is the first layer of the atmosphere. Now, this is the layer where we live. Now, this layer it is made up of gases. There are a lot of many gases in this which we breathe every day. It extends up to 15 kilometers above the earth's surface. In this layer, winds blow, clouds form and weather change takes place. Okay, this is the layer where we live. It is approximately, extends up to 15 kilometers above the earth's surface. Okay. Next is the stratosphere. Now, it extends up to 35 kilometer. It lies above the troposphere. Stars, they shine in this layer. Okay, the stars that you see, they shine in this layer. Now, the ozone layer is also situated in the upper part of this layer. Okay, and this layer is very important, okay, for the survival of human life, because it does not allow the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun to enter the earth's atmosphere. Okay. Otherwise, if those rays enter, those are very harmful for anybody, will not be able to survive. Okay. Next is the ionosphere. Now, above the stratosphere lies the mesosphere, followed by the thermosphere. Now, the mesosphere and thermosphere, okay, they are often referred together as ionosphere. So, top layer where we live, troposphere, then comes the next layer, which is the stratosphere, followed by ionosphere, which is which is which is a combination of mesosphere and thermosphere. Now, this, it is the thickest layer, and it has electrically charged particles in that help radios to work. Then you have the exosphere. Exosphere is the layer of atmosphere which is above the ionosphere, okay, and it is a very thin layer. Beyond this layer lies the space or the universe, that world. Okay. So, all the layers of atmosphere, they are held by Earth's gravity, okay, which keeps the atmosphere at the right place. Next, let us talk about what are the constituents or properties of air. You take a balloon, okay, and you weigh it, just a balloon. Now, you fill air inside it, and then you will see that the balloon inflates. Now, you take the weight again, okay, you will observe that the weight is different. Inflated balloon has more weight than the deflated one. This one shows that the air has weight. AC का temperature बढ़ा देना. Than the deflated one. This one shows that the air has weight. Than the deflated one. This one shows that the air has weight. Than the deflated one. This one shows that the air has weight. Than the deflated one. This one shows that the air has weight. Than the deflated one. This one shows that the air has weight. Than the deflated one. 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 than the deflated one, 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 So, the inflated balloon, when you weigh it, okay, you will see that the weight is more than the deflated one, which shows that the air has weight. Now, deflated balloon, it occupies less space. Volume of the inflated balloon, it increases. So, if when you inflate the balloon, the size increases, okay, so the volume increases. Now, that shows that the air occupies space. On pushing air in a balloon, its size increases. On pushing more air, balloon bursts. Why? That is because the balloon could expand only to a certain limit. So, when you expand it to a certain limit, it will blow up. However, if once that limit is crossed, it will burst. Same thing can happen with a rubber band also. The more you stretch it, it will get stretched, and if you keep stretching it, it will break. Okay? So, it bursts because pressure of air inside the balloon becomes more than that outside the balloon. Okay? This shows that the air exerts pressure. Okay? Now, what are the uses of air pressure? Generally, we use a straw to suck cold drink. So, when we suck cold drink through the straw, air present in the straw that gets first removed, okay, and then the liquid runs in and takes the place. So, the air pressure in the bottle, it forces the cold drink to rise up in the straw. That is how we drink our cold drink through a straw. Now, let us talk about water. Water, it is an important source, okay, for us in order to survive, okay, as important as the air. All living beings, we need water to live, and humans use water for different purposes like for drinking, for cooking, for bathing, etc. However, because of the overuse of water and the misuse of water, we know that water has now been contaminated and there are a lot of impurities in water. So, let us talk about the impurities present in water, okay, and on the basis of their solubility, there are two types of impurities which are found in water. So, one is impurities that are soluble, okay, and the other one are the insoluble impurities. Now, what is the soluble impurities? That means the substances which are the impurities, they get dissolved in the water, okay. That is why they are known as the soluble impurities. Now, there are certain substances, they do not get dissolved in water. Now, these substances, okay, or impurities are known as insoluble or suspended impurities. Now, how do you remove these insoluble impurities? There are different methods by which we can remove these impurities, like sedimentation. It is the process in which heavy particles, that is impurities, present in the water, they settle down. Okay, and these impurities that settle down, they are known as the sediments. Okay, they settle down at the bottom of the container due to effect of gravity. So, once they settle down at the bottom of the container, you can slowly and gradually, without moving the sediments, pour the clear water from top. Okay, that is how the process of sedimentation work. Then you have the process of decantation. Now, in the decantation process, okay, it is actually a process of separation of mixtures, carefully pouring a solution from a container, leaving the sediments in the bottom of the container. So, in the sedimentation process, you take, say for example, you take muddy water, okay, in a glass, you put it there. So, you will see that after some time the mud particles, that is the sediments, they settle down, okay, and the clear water is up there. So, this is the process of sedimentation. Now, the second process comes of the same, take the same glass of muddy water and leave the sediments down and slowly pour the clear water which is on top into another container. That process of pouring clear water into another container is known as decantation. Then comes the method of filtration, because even if you have poured that water in another container, still that water is impure. Now, you need to purify that water through the process of filtration. So, what you do is you pour that impure water through a filter paper. Okay, so, when you pour that water through the filter paper, whatever the impurities are there, okay, they do not pass through that filter paper. Okay, they will stay on the filter paper and the rest of the water will go down in the container. So, the clear water gets collected after the filtration process. Okay. So, this is the different methods by which we can remove the insoluble impurities from any water. Okay. Now, there are, apart from that, there are different methods by which we need to still purify the water in order to use it for our day to day work and also mainly for drinking purpose. So, what are the different ways of purification of drinking water? Water purification, it is the process of removal of undesirable substances from raw water to make it fit for human consumption. Now, there are different methods by which we can purify this water. Okay. So, in order to purify a water, okay, purification means to remove the unwanted things or to remove the undesirable substances from the liquid, okay, from the water. Now, there are different methods like boiling. It is the simplest method, okay, of purifying water. It kills the diseases, it reduces the germs which are present in the water. Now, it is recommended to boil drinking water for a few minutes for